Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers Takes Resident Evil 4 Remake Spoilercast, the second part, The Castle. Bum bum. Spoiler warning for anyone who has not played the Resident Evil 4 Remake, that this is a follow-up to our episode we did last week, in which case we will be giving our spoiler-filled thoughts on the castle section of the game. We had decided that we would break the game up into three different sections, the distinct sections, the locations from the original game. And so this week's episode is the castle. So if you've played the game and you have completed the castle section, then you are safe from spoilers. But then again, if you're someone who's just like, I've watched someone stream the game, I don't give a shit. Or you're like, I played the original, I think I have a fair idea, I don't care, I just want to hear what you have to say. No problem. That's no problem. Welcome. But just be warned that there are some differences and we might ruin those on you if you have not played it. But of course, we want to hear from you guys too. So if you're watching this on YouTube, jump down in the comments at any point to share your thoughts on the castle section of Resident Evil 4 Remake, anything we bring up and anything we don't. If you enjoy this one, it gives a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. To those of you who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. Again, to give your take on Resident Evil 4, The Castle. They're missing that, aren't they? They're missing the Resident Evil. You know what we're missing from our intro?
What's that?
Our fucking names. I'm Chris.
Oh, yeah.
For anyone who's new here, and these are my brothers, Adam.
Hello.
And Eric.
Hi.
And we're about to talk about Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4.
The castle.
Did I mention it's the castle? How many times have I said that? Okay, cool.
Take a shot.
Take a shot every time we say castle. Well, actually, just to start us off then, I'd love to hear you guys, your overall impressions before we get into the specifics of the castle section of the game. Because even in the original, castle has a different vibe to, you know, like gameplay doesn't change or anything like that. The story progresses, it continues. Characters are largely the same, but there's some new characters come in here too. But the castle section is different to the village.
I would say all three major set pieces almost feel like three separate games. Nearly.
Yeah.
Is that like, Eric, from your experience playing Resident Evil games, is there major shifts? I can't. 5 maybe has some shift. I'm just trying to think.
Five is
after 4. Yeah,
it's just pretty much 4, isn't it? Like, because you have the townsfolk, then you have the people who look like they're from the ancient days,
and then you have sort of temple grounds.
Yeah, and then you have the military folk. Like you have that each time with them.
Yeah, it follows the same kind of layout.
Same format.
2 is pretty consistent, does it?
That 2, it's zombies.
Yeah,
and 3 is zombies.
7 and 8.
7, 8 really consistent. You get 6.
Was it the
zombies for Leon, and then I don't know what the hell you have for the other guys.
I suppose in 2 though, when you get to the lab, like that's quite a, like it's not. I know it's still like of a contemporary setting, but it is like drastically different to, you know, the RPD, which is most of the game. And then suddenly you're in this like very futuristic White Halls lab that like it is a different vibe. You know, it gets a little bit more sci-fi.
True. Yeah, that does get a little.
So there is a bit of it, but I do think yes. I mean, this is like this is nearly like a trilogy of games in one almost.
Yeah.
But what are your overall impressions of the castle section of Resident Evil 4 Remake, Eric?
So, I still really like the enemies. I think the enemies are cool. The Verdugos still look awesome because they look like Red Alien. That was always a cool design.
Yeah.
I don't know which Salazar I prefer.
Interesting.
Out of the 2.
We'll get to him. Yeah.
Yeah. But the castle I think is always the weakest section of the game.
Interesting. Even from the original?
Well, it's now in the original it has like the best comedic action one-liners in the game. It's when Leon really starts to take the piss, because Leon at this point is just like, is this seriously my enemy? Like, I just went from Mendez to this guy. I'm just going to take the piss because this guy is not threatening at all.
Your
But-
right hand comes off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're missing a lot of those lines in
There's
the
a
remake.
lot of yes.
Yeah, and so it's not as
Yeah.
that really fun element is almost taken out of it.
Right.
Mm,
I get you.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Adam, what do you think of the castle section overall?
Yeah, I mean, I was when we were doing our last episode, it was really like I was just kind of in the middle of the castle sequence, and I was
Right.
pretty much up to a point where I really wasn't enjoying it. Like I really was not enjoying the
Yeah.
overall experience of it. But pretty much when we finished that episode, the next bit onwards, I really really love. So like, there's a certain point where I think the castle just like completely turns and becomes a really really fun and great experience.
See, I kind of knew that was coming for you.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to say anything, but I was like, please push on. Like, please
Yeah.
just keep going because you're about to get to some good shit.
But I really disliked the kind of, let's say, the beginning of the castle up to that point, and I'll get into like why later. But there's other things, and I think Eric just hit the nail on the head there. There's definitely something missing in the castle. Like there's life. It's lifeless a little bit. And it's probably what you're talking about there, which is just kind of the ridiculousness of the situation and the way Leon approaches it. That's all. Yeah, that's all stripped away. I don't think they needed to follow it directly, but there's even moments like leading up to some of the boss fights where I feel like the setup is not as. It almost feels like it just cuts straight into a fight.
Right.
And it's lacking a bit of a setup.
And then there's other cases where the setup is really good, I thought. In this castle section.
Can't
we'll
think
talk
of
about it
any.
when we're talking about
Yeah.
the boss fights. Yeah.
But yeah, there was like a split. Like I thought the village, I absolutely loved the village.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, it's always been really iconic anyway. From the original and this, just flawless. There's maybe some graphical issues like with the rain and stuff like that I think maybe might have been patched. I can't remember. But apart from that, just an incredible experience. The castle, the moment you enter it, I was just really frustrated from the gameplay standpoint. I felt like I went backwards in time, but not.
Yeah,
in a
and
good
I know
way.
exactly. I mean, okay, in a moment we're going to talk about that fucking catapult sequence, right? Which is
Yeah.
just fucking gotta piss you off, man.
Yeah.
Fuck that fucking catapult sequence. And I've heard loads of people say the same thing, and I'm kind of glad that there's a lot of people feel, because I was like, it was the first time in the game where I was like, Ashley, fucking move. Like, you're fucking me off right now. But it's like, I'm about to shoot them and I keep having to fucking pick you back up. Fuck's sake. But for me, overall, I would say the castle sequence, and the castle sequence in the original is just wacky. You know, like I have very fond memories of it, but also like it was a section where I was like, I do hope they make some changes here. I don't like everything from the castle in the original. Like, there's moments that you're in the castle and some zealot has a fucking minigun shooting at you, and you're just like, what? Or like, there's a room with fucking dragon flamethrowers and shit, and like, there's just so much wacky shit in the castle that goes beyond. It's just like, this is just like, this was already silly, but now it's silly, like really silly. But the things that I think that they kept that worked were, I always thought the zealots as enemies were really creepy. I said that before. And in this, they're also really, really creepy, like genuinely scary. But I do think the castle section has some of the lowest points of this entire game. And
some of the highest. Yeah.
some of the highlights. So it's a real up and down experience.
It is,
And
yeah.
actually,
It's like a thrill ride.
it's like a roller coaster, which is one of the highlights, I would say, of the game. Personally, I had a blast, but we'll get there. But yeah, so I suppose upon entry, yeah, you've just gone from the village, which was just fucking incredible. You're just like, what if this game is just crazy? And then the catapult sequence. Oh my god, you have no idea how fucking annoyed I got. Every time I had the cannon lined up ready to shoot one of the fucking catapults,
Hit you.
Ashley would get knocked down,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, I don't know how long I can leave her. So then I get off the cannon, wake her back up. We get hit by another ball. Wake her back up, get hit by another ball. And I'm like, fucking stop for a second. Like, give me a moment here.
You don't need the cannon to take out those catapults.
I know you don't, but in my first playthrough, I didn't know that.
I also
know
found
when you're running through there's red barrels.
No, yeah. Like I
I
did get hit, and I did think to myself, there has to be a way to take these guys out, and that's when I noticed the barrels.
Right.
So on my first playthrough, I did notice the barrels, but I did get hit once or twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it quite even difficult to know where I was supposed to go. There was like a section, I think before you come around to the cannon, where I looked like a dead end.
Right.
Do you know that? Did that happen to you? And then it turns out you have to just like kind of jump down a little wall.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I remember finding. I was like, wait, I got the cannon up.
Yeah.
How do I get back
get
up?
to it? Yeah.
Yeah. I did. I had that moment where I was like, where? And I was running around in circles nearly, and eventually a guy came down. I shot him, but I was like, I mean, this is great. I'm getting a break from the cannon or the catapults. They can't hit me. I was like, but where do I go? Like, what do I? The tension has been taken out of the scene because I just feel like I'm running around in circles here.
Yeah.
I had that moment. Yeah, for sure.
I think there's so that being the opening sequence to the castle is such a poor start. I found, and then there's this kind of once you get in there, there's kind of a cooler moment then, I guess. But getting back around to the second cannon sequence as well, which is the battlements.
Oh, you talking about the bit where the El Gigante goes full fucking Minas Tirith on your ass, throwing shit at you?
100%, right? So I felt like
loved that.
You loved it?
That was one of the. I remember in our last episode we were talking about like there's key bits of music that.
Yeah.
During that scene, I loved the music.
Right.
I loved the fact that this armored El Gigante troll thing was throwing shit at me. I was like, this is Resident Evil 4, the castle section that I remember. This is wacky.
I felt like, because I'm trying to think, there's a lot in the castle that it's like, I was going through it going, this is familiar, but it's not. Like, there's definitely a lot of like changes and new shit in there.
I don't think there was an armored El Gigante in the game, but I don't think there was one that threw shit at you.
No, that sequence is new.
Yeah. So as a new so when I was going through it, like as a new sequence, it 100% felt like I was playing the Two Towers or the Return of the King on the PS2. And that's a moment for me that I just felt like it just transported back in time. Very dated in terms of the
not
gameplay.
in a good way.
Not in a good way. I don't think it lives up to the rest of the game, especially the beginning of the game. It felt very, you gotta run here and just hit it. Because even the El Gigante, it's very Donkey Kong, right? It's just he's just throwing shit at you. There's no like,
it's on like Gigante Kong.
It felt odd. It did feel really old school.
Yeah, I prefer the catapult sequence to that sequence.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now, I love the fact that the El Gigante looks like he's got the hand of Saruman
he does look
on
like
his.
doesn't he?
He does look like a giant.
It's full on Mordor. Thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I liked. I also like that he shows up later.
Yeah, it's the same one, right?
Is it? The same one?
It is the same one. It's the same damage on his face. I was like, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
really, really sick. Yeah, I really enjoyed that sequence, I have to be honest. And I didn't find it nearly... I think because I didn't have Ashley with me, getting constantly incapacitated by other things to deal with, I think it worked better for me than the first catapult sequence. Because I was just worried about myself, and I was just running through, taking cover, running through, and then getting to the cannon, hitting him, and that felt so satisfying. When I was like, yeah, fuck you. And I kind of wish... I was like, if he wasn't going to say the line later, which he didn't, I was like, that's a good place to put the line, Monsters.
Right.
Yeah.
At least after this, there'll be one less to worry about.
There was so many. There's so many points.
I missed that line.
I was like, yeah, I was so pissed off that line.
That's the line for me.
That's the
for everyone else, it's where's everyone going? Bingo. But for me, it's monsters.
That's line is at the end of the fucking trailer to the original game. That's the last line that's said in the trailer.
Yeah,
it's an iconic line. I didn't leave it out. Yeah,
and I
think
do love the
battlement sequence. I think it was probably overstayed its welcome a little bit. It's quite a long sequence.
Quite long.
And it has
Gotcha.
there's two things happening there. There's one where it's like, okay, I need to rush to take out this El Gigante, and then there's another sequence which is like kind of like puzzle doors underground, lots of zealots, so it's kind of a little bit more claustrophobic horror. And it's like, well, beat one or the other, I think. You know, if there's supposed to be this like kind of pressure and tension to take out this big guy who's trying to take me out, then I shouldn't be like running around in circles trying to figure out which door I need to open. It was really, I think it's a really odd sequence, and it overstays its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of sandwiched, I guess, in between just exploring the castle, which is with Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suppose before we get to that section, actually, we enter the castle, and we are introduced to another major character, and that's Ramon Salazar. I mean, of all the characters who were going to get reinterpreted, you know, in this remake, this was the one I was most curious about, because I was like, honestly, everyone else I can see translating really well. This one, not so sure. I'm not so sure, because even in the original, he was fucking weird, you know.
Yeah.
It was like, I wonder, like, are they going to try and play this dead serious? Are they going to be a bit whimsical with it? Are they going to try and make him scary? So what did you guys think of Salazar?
Bit short for words.
Too little, too late. God. Go on, Eric. Are you mad he doesn't call you up on the walkie-talkie?
Yes. Fucking am. There's many.
Are you kidding me? That was never going to happen.
Why not? What are you going to talk about logic? It's fucking Resident Evil 4. There's no logic to this fucking thing.
Yeah. I would not have liked it if he called you up on the walkie-talkie.
No, I did like him. Calling you with the. It was a good way of doing that. That he calls you with.
I thought that was very clever. Yeah,
that was cool.
That was really clever. But you miss all the fucking one-liners. You miss all the witty banter between them, like, because he has a way bigger role in the first one, way more dialogue, and they have way more back and forth and stuff. And
yeah, it feels very much like Batman and the Joker in like 60s style, where the Joker shows up, Batman always gets him, and he's like, "Oh, darn you, Bats, I'll get you again," and he tries to set up another death trap for him. You know, it's a bit like that. Like, one of my favorite sequences in the OG is when Leon throws the knife in Salazar's hand. And I do miss that scene. I think that would have been fucking great.
Because that's after he says, you know, like, I've set my right hand after you, and his right hand comes off, and then he lifts his left hand, so Leon shows the knife into his left hand. And then the other guy, which actually disappears for no fucking reason.
I have a theory about that.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that, because obviously I'm not far enough into it to see if that there's like an appearance for that one, but
on the island, like,
yeah,
what you mean? Okay.
Yeah, Salazar, I think they did a really good job at kind of modernizing Salazar to, like, I don't think he's definitely not laughable in this one. I don't think.
No, he's not as comical.
Definitely creepier.
Yeah, I think they made him out to be a menace for sure. Like, you wouldn't want to cross his path. Whereas in the original, it's like
he's laughable.
It is a bit goofy.
For sure.
There's a bit more backstory to Salazar in this one, through reading, of course. But
but what I didn't realize is I totally missed the Salazar backstory in the original. Completely missed it. And in watching videos and things, I've discovered that a lot of what's here is actually in the original. And I completely missed it. Like, just that, or even just like the Salazar family backstory,
right?
And their relationship with Los Illuminados.
Yeah,
that at one point, you know, they were enemies, and that this guy kind of betrayed his family to show his commitment to his religion now.
Yeah.
And all of that, I think, is actually really fascinating and really works for the character who, like, he's very short in stature, obviously. And I feel like he's a character who is born into authority but wouldn't have been taken very seriously because of his height. Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, he certainly, I could imagine him not being intimidating before he has the parasite, you know. And like, there's notes about horrible things he did to servants and stuff.
Yeah.
Where, like, I feel like he was constantly trying to demand fear and respect from people. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah,
he came up short with those.
Yeah.
He almost feels like he could have been like a Game of Thrones character.
Yeah.
The way he goes on.
Yeah.
But they are missing some of the the back and forth. I think I would have loved to had more interaction if it wasn't through the walkie-talkie. That it'd be like, yes, the Joker talking to Batman through Arkham Asylum, right? It's like to hear his voice in places. I just think that would be funny, and
like just booming through the castle.
Yeah, and of course Leon wouldn't be talking directly to him then, but he could be like doing those one-liners, I guess, to himself as a
like under his breath even. But yeah,
well, like he does do that because there's a point when he falls down the trap and he's scooped by a guy and he sees a corpse and he goes, "Oh, guess you didn't stick the landing." So he does say them to himself.
Yeah. He has a few new ones, doesn't he? Like nighty night, you know.
Yeah.
Or what's it? He said another one. He goes, "Is like, guess I'm gonna get medieval on your ass." But it's like he's using like shotguns and shit. You're like, Leon, what? No, they're getting medieval, and Leon, you don't get this. Yeah, but yeah. There's one thing we didn't talk about in the village section. When you get to the merchant again, you get a new shooting range. So actually, we didn't talk about the shooting range before. I was just curious, like, did you use the shooting range as much, or like, do you stick around them much? Do you try to get as many charms as you can, or like, how much time do you spend on that kind of stuff?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I completed to get enough tokens just to be able to get something out of it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. But I don't like stick around and go, I'm trying to get the top score and everything before I leave.
No, I try to get an A rank, and that's it. Like, really, I don't try.
Yeah, probably do them like once each. Like, do the next tree once or twice, and then kind of just leave it.
Yeah, I was kind of getting duplicate charms, so I was like,
yeah, I got that too,
so.
And I found that to be kind of discouraging for that minigame. I think it's cool that it's there. Like, I love that it's there.
Yeah,
and it didn't have to be.
I think I prefer it in the original.
Yeah.
Well, because I think in the original, all the things that popped up were the actual enemies.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And then destroying them. I think if you get like a good rank, then you'd get the fucking, what do you call it?
The bottle caps.
The bottle caps of those characters, but you could only get one of each. I think.
I think it's cool though that the charms are the bottle caps.
Yes.
Yeah, and
they're the exact same models. Like, because if you get I've even looked at, if you get the Ada one, it's the Resident Evil 4 original Ada. Cool. It's not the new one.
Yeah.
Oh, so I think that's a really cool like way of doing Easter eggs. You know, that your charms.
I don't understand why you can't put charms on the other side of the case though.
Right, like, why does that only have to be 3? Like, why can't you have up to 6?
Yeah. I'm really greedy. Let me
yourself out. Yeah. I want more advantages. This game is spoopy. But yeah, I suppose after that section, you get to do some exploring with Ashley.
When you have to go into like the dungeon, don't you?
Oh, and you meet the Garrador.
Yeah, cool sequence.
Yes.
Very cool sequence.
Fucking loved it.
I can't remember how that's definitely earlier than it is in the OG, is it?
Yes. I think so. I think they go, fuck this, we're going to throw this at you.
Yeah, here you go.
You think.
Enjoy it. I know that catapult was shit. Have something good.
Yeah. That kind of feels like how the scripting of the castle goes. It's like, yeah, we're sorry about that. Here's some really good shit. Here's some highlights, you know.
Yeah.
Eric, what did you think of the Garrador sequence?
I fucked him up and it was great.
Yeah. I felt really good in that, but I also
I was very nervous at first, but then I was like, but because you can crouch and do a sneak attack,
such a difference.
It does make such a difference.
Oh, cool! I didn't do that now.
Oh, what did you do?
Oh, I just shot him.
Oh no, I snuck up on him, knifed him, went away from him, let him go crazy, then snuck around again, avoiding the chains, which made it feel more like I was in like The Hunted or something like that, you know, or like Arnie versus Predator or something, you know.
I
It's
did
cool.
a mixture of the two. So I'd sneak, stab, shotgun blast, sneak, stab, shotgun blast. Like that's what I did.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, no, he went down really quick for me.
What did you use? The sniper?
No, I think it was the broken butterfly.
Oh well, that's a Magnum, right?
Oh well,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
That's got to
They're
do it.
super strong. That ought to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to jump around too much, but I suppose on that character, the next time we meet Garradors, there's two of them.
Yeah.
I always remember this room. This is one of those, again, leading up to the game. Like I said before in the village, like I was dreading the house siege, you know. Even though I was excited about it, I was dreading doing it. And this is one of those rooms. Like I fucking remember the room. It was as soon as we saw the trailer where they showed the Garrador, you know, in the room, and I was like, I'm not worried about that one. I'm worried when there's two and fucking bells and fucking multiple enemies and shit leading up to it. However, I feel like we all had a different tactic for this, which is super exciting. But how did you guys get on with the bells and the two Garradors?
Well, I
I know,
actually
Adam, you
didn't-
put in a message saying you fucking destroyed.
Oh,
them.
yeah, they didn't last. They didn't stand a chance. I actually was when I was finished clearing the room. I was like, oh, there's bells.
Wow.
didn't
You know,
even-
did you remember them from the OG or?
Oh yeah, I
Do you
did,
remember
but
that section?
I just don't remember. I think I can't really remember what the room shape was like, and
It's a bit different.
it's wider,
much-
isn't it?
Is
it?
It's wider. It's longer. But it doesn't have any of those side corridors.
Yeah.
Are we still describing the room? Are we... Sorry, guys. Brought down the mood of the whole the whole thing here.
Funny story.
Funny story, bro. You should tell it again.
Yeah. So I very much did not fuck them up, and I think Chris, you were very tactical with them.
Super tactical. I was like,
I just fucking got by.
So in the lead up to the game, I was dreading it, but once I was playing the game and I had a certain tool to my advantage, I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do when I get to that section. And so when I was in that room, I loaded up those attachable mines on the bolt gun, shot a rake of them at the bells, shot the bell, blew the fuck out of them. Yeah, that was my tactic.
I haven't
Like,
used the bolt thrower since the village. Now I have to say.
Interesting.
I have only used the bolt thrower to do that challenge. That's it.
To do
There's a
that
challenge?
You know challenges in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a challenge for kill certain enemies with such a weapon.
All right.
okay.
So it's kill certain enemies with the bolt throwers. That's all I've done.
And
with
how many did you have to kill to
I think like
get an
10,
achievement?
either 5 or 10. I can't remember.
And it's that
I
with
don't even have
bolts
that.
as opposed to the mines?
And it
Like,
just says with the
does
bolt
it-
thrower.
Because I've only ever used it for deploying mines. I've never. I think once I used it as like a pew, but I was like, nah.
It's really weak.
I don't want to use it that way.
Well, it'd be good, I suppose, if you're trying to stealth your way through.
Certain sections, right?
Yeah, especially if you didn't have a knife. If your knife was fucked, then it'd be handy for those situations. But in most cases, yeah, I just haven't. I haven't really been using it. I think it's because as you progress further, I need more firepower and lots of ammo. But I took them out with the Red 9.
Nice.
And
Did that feel classic to you? Were you like,
Grenades.
this is.
yeah,
OG
I've been
right now?
I've been kind of. I haven't
Hard
really
to get
been
away from your old build.
I haven't really been spending much money. I did there today. I decided, look, I've got all this money. I might as well spend it on something. But I quite early on in the castle managed to get the Red 9 completely kitted out altogether. Like, it's just completely upgraded.
Wow. Yeah.
So
You've got the stock on it, right?
it's got the stock on it. It's got the
Yeah.
what's the exclusive feature or whatever they call it in that.
That's sick.
It's
Yeah.
completely upgraded. So I've just been pretty much just using that the whole way through, and I haven't upgraded any other piece of weaponry. And I was like,
You should just sell everything
should
else.
probably-
You're gonna just.
no, I don't. I like to hold on to everything.
It's nice to have them as a backup, isn't it? Like there's a few guns I have. And I'm like,
I have a
I've
ton
never
in
used
stock.
them. Why am I keeping them? Yeah.
I think I was either using the first handgun or the Punisher handgun in that sequence.
The Punisher's good. Especially
like
if they come after like the. I haven't really been using the
Really-
Punisher, and
Really
there's-
good for shields. Enemies with
Yeah,
shields
there's
just
so many
run through.
moments where I'm like, well, I don't want to have 2 handguns with me, but then there's certain moments where I'm like, I fucking wish I had the Punisher right now, and it's the bit where you've got the Plagas that attaches themselves to the Zealots and they run after you, which that's a major improvement over the. They get your heart going, I think.
That scared the fuck out of me.
The first time?
Kidding? Oh my god, it scared the shit out of me. No, not the first time. Every
time.
Every time it scared the shit out of me. I remember there was another time and it was like a spiral stairs and one just went like running down the stairs.
Oh right, yeah.
And I was just like, fuck no, fuck no. Like give me as many zealots as you want, but fuck those things. They're great. What a great
They're very good.
I mean, very face huggery, right?
Yeah.
But so cool, so sick. I really like the way they're done this time around. I do remember that design from the original, but the way they've been implemented here is a lot more like those things from Dead Space that would come along and revive the dead bodies kind of thing.
Oh yeah. They
kind of serve that function here, and I think it really works.
God, it's just mental the way they
Plus,
run
it
at you.
looks scary. Like, the way they're pulling back the people and kind of puppeteering them, like it looks fucking cool.
Like if you go back to that Garrador room, it's just all them.
I
It's fucking
noticed
just
that.
all
I
them.
was
And
not
I was
expecting.
just
That's right. Yeah,
shotgunning them, and I was like, "What? This is fucking terrifying." They're very
it
scary.
is. Yeah, they are scary. There's a few scary sections in the castle, right?
Yeah, I would say.
Well, just the sound of the zealots is put you on edge.
Yeah, they're chanting. There's a room, I think just after. So there's a couple of moments where Ashley separates from you, right? So it's the first moment, which I thought was actually cool moment, where she kind of turns and tries to stab you.
Love that sequence.
Yeah,
I thought
very
it made
cool.
way more sense than someone just picking her up again. I was like, that's a nice, like, it breaks up the whole her constantly getting captured.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that moment, and I like the moment when you find her again. Those two
He
moments.
sits down with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I like when he stops the knife and with his
it's cool.
hand and he's just bleeding, and she just looks fucking mental. Like, I think it's really great.
Yeah, so after that's, I think it's after that sequence where you kind of,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
because there's a red guy, isn't there? There's a red priest dude, and it's like they're all in this room.
Dude, those
they're in
fucking
the
guys.
wine cellar.
The wine
They're in
cellar. Yeah. Like that
'cause
moment I think is pretty like, oh god.
Yeah, it gets intense fast.
I found a great tactic for like the first time, sneaking through, get up as close to him, just take him down first, and then take down everyone else.
Mhm.
But my new tactic: get the sniper him until he's dead. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm still in the first room. You know, I have to kind of sneak past these drapes to get into the wine cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they all have to funnel towards me, and I had to shock and blast the shit out of them till they're all
Brilliant.
mushed.
I've
Love
seen
it.
another on YouTube. Someone sneaks around and drops a chandelier on them all.
Yeah, that's another option. Yeah.
That's one thing I'm loving about this game. People seem to have very different ways how they approach it, and there's nothing wrong with it. No one's wrong. They have given you all these different tools for you to play around with. How do you want to tackle this particular scenario we're putting you in?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in some cases, yes, sometimes it does feel like there's only one way to do this, but in a lot of the cases, I feel like you can, like we all had totally different reactions to the bell room, for example.
Yeah.
Like, completely different ways of dealing with that. So I think that's super cool in this game. But those shaman guys,
Yeah.
fucking hate them, but I
hate
love
them too.
I love the effect that they have. Actually, I think it's a cool idea. Like, I think it's cool that when they go, oh, there's like Gloria las Plagas, and the camera shakes for you, and they're not actually doing anything. It's the parasite inside you is affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. And then of course everyone goes, and you're like, you motherfuckers! Like, this is crazy ritualistic shit going on here. So in concept, it's really cool, but as you're playing, you're like, this is fucking annoying.
Yeah, as you're playing it, it's
You get
it's
me?
an absolute pain in the hole. That's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I feel like you kind of like remember we were talking about in the house in the villa, and when you get crowded, there's kind of nothing you can do when you get crowded.
That's where you really want that circle evade button, right?
Yeah, so I always felt like when I'm playing it, I'm like, am I missing something here? Because I can't see him, I can't get to him, and then he kind of stops you. I guess you can't move, you can't shoot, you can't do anything other than just get attacked. And I'm like, I feel like there's supposed to be something that I'm not quite getting here. And it's similar to like the catapult sequence. It's like, well, I'm running. I feel like I'm supposed to run away, but every time I try to run away, it still hits me. I don't understand. Like, is there something I'm missing? And so those moments get a little bit frustrating. But it's a really cool idea. And I never really... It's something that is completely missing, I think, from the original game, is how the Plagas actually affects Leon.
I think it's really cool.
Addition.
Yeah. I'm really into it. And also, I remember those shaman guys from the original, and I do think this is like a really interesting way of reinterpreting that character. In the original, from my memory, they usually have something shiny on them and they just run away from you. And you have to find them and kill them to get the shiny thing off them.
Oh, yeah, and
while other guys try to kill you. Well, they go, oi, 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 and they run away. Like, they just keep running away
Follow
from
me,
you.
okay.
Yeah, very like that. While other guys try to kill you. And they keep like, and then they'll pull a lever and go through a different door. And you're like, get back here.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's one
particular.
Was that just one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one particular sequence.
That's the one I remember.
That's a crap sequence. Yeah.
So there was those guys. There was just, they look like the ordinary Zealots, just with red robes. But there was that one.
They're tough.
No, but they have the goat head.
tough.
They have the goat head though.
Oh yeah. No, they look like that. They do look like that. But it's just that they're
They're
just tougher, I think, is all it was.
Oh, they do.
But
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
here actually, they added a whole new ability.
Yeah, but I love. I suppose I love how ritualistic they've made these characters in the castle now. You know, they're not just like creepy denizens. Like, there's, you know, you come across weird chapels. Like the bit where there's like what must have been one of them before, but it's just dead and it's like posed in like this, and the parasite is out, and there's like enemy people around it. And it's I took a screenshot of that. I was like, that's
just before the wine cellar, isn't it?
Yeah. That's so fucking cool.
That's very Dead Space, isn't it?
Very Dead Space.
Yeah.
Very,
so
very cool.
I thought the more they leaned into the creepy cult thing going on here, like the more interesting this whole area was, and these fucked up guys were.
Yeah.
Eric, you were telling me before, I don't know if Adam got to hear this because I don't think he'd gotten to that section yet, but like, you know, one of those red shaman dudes is in that room where they drop you down on the bridge. You're about to get the last piece of the chimera, depending on what order you did it in, and you're like, fuck! And then they just keep coming at you, and Ashley's witching. But you can avoid that whole encounter, can't you?
Yep. If you time it just right to chuck the grenade at that lever and keep running, the guys will come around to pull it, but the grenade will go off, and then they'll die, and you skip the whole sequence.
Cool.
That's cool. So that's good to know for a second run.
That was kind of my... Yeah, that was kind of my tactic to get through that, only the bridge still came down. It just managed to kill the red dude.
All right. Well, that's good, because it didn't for me, because I didn't know that was going to happen. And man, that section fucked me up big time.
Yeah, that's the one.
I couldn't get him. I kept trying to hit him. He kept running away. And then they kept blowing, you know, their heads are blowing off and everything. I was, fuck!
Yeah, that's that sequence where I'm just like, I feel like there's something here that I'm missing, or because he's impossible to get, actually.
He's pretty difficult to get. I think I went up to him. I think I just ran past everyone up the ladder, and it's just because I was like that. I was like, "Jeez, back off."
This is where
I didn't realize there was a ladder. You see,
that was the sequence. That's actually the sequence where I was like, "Okay, the Punisher is going back into storage," because as I was running around, one of them picked up Ashley and started to run away from it, and then I go to shoot him. It goes through him into Ashley. Game over.
And that's one of the things that would have you fucking annoyed, right? It's like, I shouldn't be able to do that. I should not be able to kill Ashley.
Yeah. I mean, she is a pain. She really is a pain.
You gotta give her the suit of armor, right?
Well, that's going to take effort.
Can it be unlocked? Or am I wrong? It
No,
can't, right?
yeah, you have to clear the game on a particular difficulty.
I think you have to get
I'm
maybe
never
an
gonna do
S
that.
plus on hardcore or
On
something like that.
professional, I think, is that?
No, professional is like all the special weapons.
Okay.
Hardcore, I think.
Hardcore, I think is.
But pretty soon after that whole sequence, anyway, you know, after you complete the Chimera puzzle thing, which I had a bit of fun with, like the other rooms, like
Yeah,
sitting down and
like
figuring out the
sitting down,
bells
yeah.
and things, and like I thought that was like really old school Resident Evil. I thought so,
Yeah.
which
I like
the castle in the original didn't always feel like Resident Evil, and I think
No.
they kind of did a good job at making it some of those sections feel a bit more.
I like her little comment on like, why don't you wear the suit of armor? You know, like be bulletproof. And it's like, God, not my style. 2 seconds later, the whole room of suits of armor come to life. I was like, fuck's sake, Leon.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the Armaduras? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I don't know
What
the
do you think
names of everything, but that
Like
again,
the knights.
that's
Obviously.
that's another improvement over the original.
Well, the original made no sense. It was just a knight kind of struck and then fell apart. At least this one, you can see the parasite working.
I think it's really cool that they've turned them into actual enemies. Like they took something that was just like more of a quick time event, I think, in the original.
Yep.
Yeah.
And said let's turn that into an actual enemy where this fucking parasite is controlling the armor. It's kind of, and they're kind of scary. I thought
They could be
not how
tough.
they look, but just that there's like, no, go away, you know, leave me alone, get away from me. And then of course you have to deal with them on your own.
Yeah.
As Ashley Graham.
Walk in the park.
That was
I'm so interested. You have such a different like take on that scene to me. This was another sequence, just given the way Resident Evil games have gone in recent, times. I was dreading playing as Ashley. I was like, I remember it in the original, never liked it in the original, and I think most people didn't. So I was like, so I feel like Capcom are going to do something else with that scene, and whatever they're going to do, I'm dreading it.
Yeah, I was dreading it too because I thought it was going to actually be scary. I thought it was going to be dealing with zealots.
And you would have found that would have made it scary then?
Yeah, because like, what can she do against them? And that was in the original. In the original, it's against them.
Yeah, it is. You have to like toss a lantern at them or something.
Yeah.
Am I right? And you climb under tables and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get away from them, yeah. Whereas this, at least you can just kind of go freeze and they'll stop and then you just run again.
Unless you do the challenge where you have to go through the whole sequence and never freeze them.
Oh, is that like one of the
okay.
to CP stuff?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's
no one's doing that on their first run.
Playthrough number
I'm just
2.
saying. I'm saying that's a whole. It's a little bit of a different experience.
I think you could. Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
I found it scary on the first run.
I was very. I was a
more
bit
so
on it.
because one, I don't like when it like one hit kills kind of scare me.
Right. Okay. Well, I didn't know that.
Right?
I think if I had known it was a one-hit kill, I would have been like maybe a little bit more careful. But I was just running around. I didn't care.
The other thing I suppose that scares me is trying to run around in the dark. I get lost so easy in games like this, and so my whole thing was like, I can die with one hit, and I have no fucking idea where I'm going. So I was just constantly stressing out, fuck, have I gone the wrong way? Have I cornered myself? Have I gone the right way? And just trying to get through it as quickly as I could. But I think they did a really good job. I think it is an improvement on the original. I think it's a good sequence.
It's longer, isn't it? It is a longer sequence.
It's longer, yeah.
Definitely longer. And I like Ashley's commentary trip. Like there's a point where she was like, "Oh, this sucks," and I was like, "Yes, Ashley, yes, it does. I agree. This sucks." Or she's like, oh, "Please let this be over," and I was like, "Yes, I agree, Ashley."
I'm so done with nights.
Didn't
I just say I was done with nights?
Yeah, those are moments where I thought I was like, okay, Ashley's character has a little bit more like.
I actually don't mind Ashley's character. Maybe I just had a better experience.
I like Ashley.
I don't mind the character.
Yeah, I know. It's the mechanics.
It's the gameplay surrounding the character. I think is kind of unfortunate. I
think the first time
she's not a bad character.
No, but I don't think she's really ever really been a bad character. I think she was poorly kind of written or directed. But there's nothing wrong with the character. What made her annoying always, I think, is just the mechanic of it. I think no one really likes an escort mission. This is the equivalent of a water level in a fucking
Yeah. Well, I suppose when you in the original, what you have is right. If you have, possibly in this case, poor direction, poor writing, and poor gaming. Like, what's left of the character to like?
Yeah.
There's very little there to like, except for what's written in the brief.
Yeah.
So then you're going, no, I hate this character. Like, every time she talks, I hate what she says. I hate how it sounds. And I fucking hate having her around me because of the mechanics of it. So therefore, like, I think that's where, like, the I hate Ashley comes from.
I think
There's
so
very
too.
little about her to actually latch onto to go, yay, Ashley's here.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, like, having at least a better, and I'm not saying anything about the actual actors, but having a better voice performance here, whether it's that's down to the way it was written or the way it was directed or whatever, makes it a bit more bearable, to the point where I'm like, oh, I like this over the original. I'd rather go through the castle with this Ashley than go through the old castle with the old Ashley. Like, if you were to tell me right now, go play the castle section in either of the two games right now, go. I'd pick the remake because I think
the remake could be much quicker because, like,
I'll get through it quicker.
It is quicker.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's so many stuff from the original that I'm like, fuck this room, fuck this bit, fuck that bit.
because I think, like, while the castle is still big in the remake, it's definitely a much more.
They've streamlined it a bit more, right?
Well, they've streamlined it, but it's much more like this is an appropriate size for the castle. Like, this is fine. In the original, I'm pretty sure there's a point when you actually go outside of the castle, get onto like a freaking, I was about to say call them an air carriage. What are they called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
carriage?
it's like a gondola kind of thing that takes
Gondola
you up into the air.
thing. You have to shoot people. There's a bit. You have to go underground, and you're like in a lava room. There's like multiple points.
You have
when
to drop chains of dragon statues that breathe fire.
Yeah. Then there's 2 points I think where
can't
you have to
remember
get
that
on the car where you're with Ashley. Like a little rail car thing. I think it's only one.
Yeah.
I like the implementation of the rail car in this as a fast travel system in the castle.
That was really nice.
I remember seeing it and going, oh, I recognize, and the two of them sitting in a face each other. I was like, oh, I'll remember this. That's cute. I think that was a cool way of implementing that.
Yeah. When you meet up with her then after she goes to stab you, and you go through all the wine cellar and stuff like that. That's taking you to the battlements, and I mean it's a fucking long while before you meet up with her, isn't it? And I think that's probably my issue with the battlements sequences. I think just needed to really speed up because you're in a hurry to get to this girl, and you meet her in that room. So after that is the maze. Now that was the sequence where I think in the GameCube you had to do that. My memory is a bit fuzzy, but I feel like you had to do the maze.
Right.
Whereas in the PS2 one and the Wii version and so on, it was optional. You didn't have to do it.
And do you feel like, are you going to tell me they should have made this maze optional?
No, I just think it's an interesting. I think it's interesting that they decided to do. I could be wrong. Maybe it was optional in the GameCube as well. But I always remember when playing the GameCube version, I definitely did the maze, which I always dreaded because that's like, I thought the dog. I actually really enjoyed the maze sequence in this.
I think it's really good. I again, this is one of those, like, I hate the design of the dogs, but I think the way they're utilized in this maze is really, like, the sound design and everything. I did not know where they were coming from.
Yeah, and the way
it
they
made the maze. It made it really
good,
like intense. So I thought it was really cool.
Felt like I was in the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah. With the fucking dog soldiers or something. Yeah. What did you think of the maze, Eric?
Yeah, I like it. It just seems like I was a bit dreading the maze because I do remember playing the maze and not liking it because it's in the original. It's very dark, and the dogs, you really don't know where they're coming from. Because I think in this one you can kind of Harper a guess they're gonna pop out in front of me. Oh look, they're popping out in front of me. I'll just blast them with a shotgun. They're dead. Grand. So you can't just fly through it. It was the bit when I got separated from Ashley and the Zealots came along. I was like, no, fuck, run! Ah!
Yeah. Gets your heart racing a bit, doesn't it?
I think in the OG... Did you play the OG recently enough, Eric?
No, he just knows that game.
Just remembers it.
He knows that game.
I think the maze was really just to get some treasure. I don't think it was anything... Whereas here, obviously, it's your way
Was
forward.
it to get a key piece of treasure, though, to come back to some sort of door and...
No, I think it was an optional piece of treasure. It could have been the crown, actually.
You have to do it in separate ways.
Interesting.
Separate ways you have to do the maze because Ada jumps out of the window.
Are we?
And-
I mean, you can kind of tell from. I know, Adam, you haven't finished the game yet, but are we all in agreement that there is going to be a separate ways DLC for this game?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Has to be.
Okay. So when we get to like the next part, I have some theories about stuff that's going to be in separate ways. That's not in the original separate ways.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, the when I got to the maze is one of those sections I completely. This is surprisingly one of the sections I forgot about. So I wasn't dreading this in like the lead up to the game, and as soon as I got into the maze, I went, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "Oh no, the fucking." And then I remembered, and I went, "Okay, here we go." But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like done really well. One section that I was dreading, though, another section from the castle that I was dreading, is the Verdugo.
Oh,
this is one of those, again, looking forward to it, but just thinking like, what are they going to do?
I was dreading that
Verdugo?
sequence.
I was dreading.
Yeah, of course you were, right? Because you're like, I
He's a
hated
scary
it.
guy.
It scared me in the original. And now this is the remake. It might be faster. It might be scarier. It might do other things. I don't know.
But just before getting to the Verdugo.
Yeah. Have I skipped something?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. We're not quite there yet.
Are we not? Where are we?
Well, after the ballroom.
Oh yeah.
Because when we got there, I was like, I don't remember this at all.
You don't remember the ballroom with the insects?
No, I remember the insects.
The Novistadors or something like that, I think they're called. Or
I think they were always really stupid, but they did a great job with these, and they really grounded them, I think, within the lore of the Plagas. They're not necessarily scary, I wouldn't say, but the way they're done, the animation, the way they hide and stuff like that, I just thought that was class. But I couldn't, the ballroom, I just don't remember at all. I remember them, but I don't remember the ballroom.
Well, I remember that section. I remember that location because I remember them picking Ashley up and her going, "Leon, help!" and she gets dragged away, and I'm going, "No."
Oh, is she?
Yeah, they pick her up, right?
Do
take
they?
her away. Yeah.
So instead of the Verdugo taking her away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen on that.
I think everyone at some point in that castle
picks Ashley up.
Even Ashley makes herself be separated from you by running against a wall, placing it perfectly there so a yoke can come around and the wall flips.
There's the fucking Scooby-Doo wall.
Yeah, which they left out.
I think
are you
that's
raging
okay.
about? Do you miss that?
No.
Someone did point out. Sorry, before we go back to those big insects, somebody did point out the bit where like the cage goes on top of Leon, separating Leon from Ashley instead, and he does some cool John Wick shit, dodging arrows and shit.
Yeah.
But there's a guy then in the cage with him, and someone went, "Hold on, fuck," and paused and went, "Where the fuck did he come from?"
Yeah, that's true.
He's inside the cage with him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It was a bit wild. I don't like that the Verdugo just takes her at that moment.
Gotcha.
I think there needed to be some other setup. Maybe she comes around and knocks the ladder down, and then comes down and is about to help, and then something. I don't know. It just seemed very like, come on, there he is. You know, it's like, and you had just gotten her to that point. I don't know. It just felt a bit anticlimactic. I would have preferred something else in that moment. But those insect things, because after that it leads you up to the throne room, where you would have the dialogue. You're thrown into the pit, and
they're down there too.
They are down there. Like in the OG, I think Ashley's down there with you, isn't she?
No.
Okay, it's just yourself.
Yeah.
I prefer. I think he has a kind of a grappling hook thing, doesn't he?
He does it.
Yeah.
Trolls.
Yeah. I think I prefer that over him just grabbing onto a chain, because man, it's like if the grappling hook thing is unbelievable, I think the chain grabbing is even more unbelievable.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I can see though why they didn't put the grapple hook in.
Because then it would be like, why not just use that as a game mechanic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if everything else tool that he has is being utilized as gameplay, like, we feel like it's because you would ask that question. You go, why have I not used that hook before?
Yeah. I think he
and
needed
that would
to
totally change the game.
And I think you'll agree with me, Chris. I think he just needed to hit something on the way down.
Needed to like shoot the bell in Salazar's ear, right?
I just think grabbing the chain that would have just really ripped the arms out of your sockets. There's something else I think that needed to happen there.
Now I see what you were saying. Oh, fuck you. I actually thought you were referencing in the original when he Salazar's listening out for something to splash, and he shoots the fucking the what would you call it? But anyway, it basically puts a fucking bullet sound through Salazar's ear and it blows his fucking ear off.
It's a funny moment.
It is very funny.
But that's
Salazar is like,
where you found the moment with Ashley, where you're on edge going through the dark. That moment I had me on edge because that's really fucking dark.
Eric, what did you think of the big insects this time around?
I like them. The fact that they just kind of camouflage with the environment, because there would be times when they have tricked me. I wouldn't.
When the original, they used to go invisible.
Oh yeah, full on invisible. But you also see
this is
big,
way
giant,
more believable.
You see their giant glowing eyes when they go invisible. So it's a little bit like, I mean, I see you. You have multiple green eyes, and you're just sitting in that corner. And this one, it's like, they could be blending with the rubble, so you don't even know.
I also love their sound design. I was very much reminded of the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. The sounds that they're making. I thought they were quite scary in that way, and every time they come, like, I wasn't scared of fighting them, but if I got surrounded by a few, I'd go, oh fuck, and need to move around and that. But I think they're, because I always thought they were a stupid enemy in the original. Huge improvement here. I actually really like them as an inclusion here, and the more the lore goes on, I actually feel they've connected them in a really good way. Like,
so
really
they have so it's down in there once you kind of walk around the pit, I guess. Is then when you come on to the Verdugo, and he has there's a connection between him and them, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like
that one is the guy who made it. Yeah, and then I think the other one is a female servant that got converted against her will or something like that.
But is it that I actually thought it was now maybe some of the notes I would read them and I kind of only had a gist of what they were trying to say because of the way it was written. Like, they're vague enough that there's like, are you getting an idea of what's going on here? But I thought that it was that like a woman was pregnant and ate one of the one of those larvae things.
Yeah.
And it bonded with the child, and the child that they gave birth to is basically a Verdugo.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
So it is like a human insect hybrid, basically.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up.
It's incredibly fucked up.
That's
like body horror shit, you know?
Yeah. That's actually nasty.
But in the original, couldn't that go invisible? Doesn't that go invisible and then you hear like the footsteps like run up to you?
Probably.
I always thought it ran like in like a vent above you or something like that, and you could see its vision, and then it just pops.
Well, it does that too.
It does that in this one, right?
It did that in both.
Yeah.
Because Salazar sends his right hand. After you.
Yeah. Is that in this one?
No, that scene. Yeah. No, that scene is not in it.
There are certain moments where it's like when you're about to kind of encounter a boss, they kind of just skip the whole
the setup.
Like because he goes basically, off you go, and then when you're down there, you hear like it's almost like a splash, and then like a running of footsteps up close to you, and you're like, Jesus Christ, but he doesn't come for you at that point. And then it's the setup, and that it's really missing because he kind of just comes out of nowhere, and unless you played the original, I don't know, are you going to make a connection that that's the hooded thing?
Yeah, like do you see that as a character, or is it like, oh, that was a annoying enemy or like a scary enemy? Like, because it very much is a character from the original, like constantly there with Salazar, mentioned a bunch of times. He sends it off for you, and then it shows up like it's hunting you, you know.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so
It
scary.
is missing that setup.
I
Yeah,
think it's missing that setup. Definitely.
What they do is they spend just always. They pretty much spend all their time on Leon. It's very rare that they ever leave the camera or the story ever leaves Leon's side.
Oh yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
Because even when Sadler is talking, it's through Leon's vision that Sadler is talking.
Oh yeah.
That's really interesting, and I wonder, is that part of the way they decided to direct the story of like, we are going to focus on Leon's experience? But then I suppose the one time they do leave is in this castle section. You play as Ashley.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
like
one time
I
they-
do think that that connection can be lost, and so they should have kept in that little bit where he sends off the hooded yoke.
Can I ask you guys, did either of you, and I'm talking first try only, like first playthrough, did you kill the Verdugo?
Yeah.
No. What?
Yes.
Well, the Red 9 was fully upgraded for Adam, so
got the fuck out of there. I went
Same.
serious MGS on this. Kept running back to the elevator. Is it down yet? No. Keep running away. Keep running. Keep running. I was like, I'm not fighting you. If I can avoid you, I am not fighting you. Fuck you.
I used up every single one of the liquid nitrogen yolks, and he still wasn't dead by then. So
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, when the elevator
I've
got
heard
there, I
he's
was
really
like,
hard to kill, so I'm really surprised you killed him, Adam. So was it with the Red 9?
No, it was like, I mean, I kind of cycled through a couple of weapons there: Red 9, Magnum, shotgun, TMP. But it took me forever to find the last. It took me ages to get back to like the beginning one of where the liquid nitrogen was. So I was kind of running around and going back to the other ones. I didn't realize they're a one use only.
Right.
So I was running around and he hit me a few times, and then I eventually found my way to the beginning, and I was like, all right. And then I used it, and I turned around and did one shot, and he just blew up.
Wow. Maybe it's that you have to use them all on him to kill him.
Wait, you can
do.
kill him without using the liquid nitrogen.
I don't think you can.
No,
I
you
don't.
can.
You can. It's with the rocket launcher, obviously.
I would assume so.
That's a
Oh right, yeah. That would be.
Right.
So there's a challenge for killing
the
him.
cheat. Yeah.
There's a challenge for killing him. There's a challenge for killing him without the liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, I
it's
think
like
that
it's
that
for him.
that
With
would
the
be
rocket launcher.
Yeah, because I don't think you can actually deal any damage to him.
Which is the reason you can buy the rocket launcher in the castle.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's for that fight, right?
So yeah, I did kill him, and then
Wow.
because I really
Well
wanted to be able to explore around that area.
Yeah.
I think what when I first went through that area, I was like, oh, what does this button do? And then like it hit me, and I was like, ah.
Fuck yeah.
So I just reloaded my save because I didn't want to. I knew he was coming up, like, so I wanted to have my full health. So I reloaded my save, and then I was like going around or whatever, and then when he came along, did the stuff, bang, shoot him, run away, just through the whole thing. But it took me fucking forever to find that last liquid nitrogen bit.
This is one of those fights where like the animations and everything are great. It's a really faithful recreation of the original. It is one of those fights where like I was dreading the lead up to it. This is an iconic enemy as far as I'm concerned from the OG. And much like the Del Lago, I was expecting more. I was expecting a little bit more of a reinterpretation of this fight.
Yeah, this was
Whether that be different
close
phases
enough, I think,
or,
to the OG.
or like it hunting you for a bit longer than that. Because honestly, when I got into the elevator and it went up, I was like, oh, that thing's coming after me. I'm not done. And then I was. Now, moving on, it was fine because honestly, the next chapter is chapter 11. And I remember that number because I think I thoroughly enjoyed the entire chapter. The entire...
It was
entirety
amazing.
of chapter 11 is fucking incredible. I love it. I think it's probably not that there's, other parts of the game, like there's still like great parts of the game to come for you, Adam, and then parts of the village are just fucking incredible. I think as a singular chapter, it might be my favorite chapter of the game. Where like there's no point in it where I'm like, I hated that bit, but the next bit was great, I think I just enjoyed the entire thing.
So you're reunited with Luis, Sarah, and you're going through the mines. And I think what I really loved about this sequence is we're back to the Ganados. I just love them as an enemy. I think they're so much more iconic, and then somehow chainsaw people are after you again.
Yeah.
But this
I
time,
was happy
this
to
time,
see Salvador back.
I had a fucking fully upgraded Red 9, so they didn't last pissing time.
Yeah. Right. But like, the fucking fun was the minecart sequence.
So fucking good. I got really
I
pissed
loved
off though, because there was
Right.
a moment where I was like I was just like chatting to Pagan, and it was the second cart bit, and I took my eye off the ball a little bit, and it toppled, and I died.
Oh no.
okay.
I would have absolutely survived the two of them otherwise, but
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
How
that
did you find the minecart sequence?
Oh, no, the minecart sequence is fucking class.
the
Yeah.
fucking
Such a good
music
sequence.
is so fun.
So good. Yeah.
so
I remember seeing
exhilarating.
it in the trailer and I was kind of worried about it. I was like, oh, that looks goofy.
Mm.
But that is one of those ones where you gotta just play it. It's so fun. It's like a Disney ride. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you've gone through some serious scary shit. Here's your Disney ride. You've earned it. Have a blast.
It was
You know
like
what?
I think that
kind of I want that in VR.
Yeah, man. Well, it's coming in VR.
oh man, that'd make you
Resident
so
Evil 4
nauseous.
Remake is coming in
Or
VR.
yeah, no, but I just want the like the
Right?
Until Dawn Rush of Blood.
Oh yeah.
Resi
It
4
felt a
style.
bit like that, right?
Yeah,
It was so cool. And I love the sequence where, and I think they did a great job this time around of really hammering that point home, like the actual plot of Resident Evil 4. The bit where you're going past the giant amber,
Mm.
which is where they mined the parasite,
Yeah.
the fucking Jurassic Park style. Loved it. I loved that because I always I know that in the original the storyline is that the miners dug up the parasite and that's kind of where it came from. But I just think they did such a cool job at let's highlight this shit though. Here is what they found. They should have never touched it. They should have fucking left
Wait, is this
this
the
shit
thing?
alone.
Sorry, is this the thing you shoot the bug yolks off of, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
but the big orange, like that is the parasite.
Yeah.
Is inside that, right?
I don't know. I didn't get that from that, but that's cool.
Well,
if it is.
there's a
It is.
lot. There's a lot of
There's
singular
loads of mini
parasites.
parasites inside that. Yeah. Like
Yeah, I think so.
because the plot is essentially that the Salazars long ago sealed the parasite deep under the castle.
Yeah.
And then Ramon, I think it was Ramon, basically unsealed it. And
Opened
said,
it up again.
Here you go, master. And fucked everything up.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's so fucking cool. And I know that was in the original, but I just feel like they highlighted it a little bit more here. And I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Be short-sighted of him.
Oh God, Salazar, what do you like? But yeah, this is where I was saying that I quite like the transition to boss fight. You end up in a vent with Luis,
Ah, that's so good.
and the El Gigante's hand comes in, pulls him out.
Yeah,
You jump down, you're fighting the two. I love that boss fight.
that's great.
Yeah, it's a great boss fight.
I think it's better than the original. That moment.
Yeah,
It's a much
Yeah.
better fight.
yeah, definitely.
Though I tried to use the lever to open up the floor and kill the thing.
I did. I did.
No, I did.
It didn't fucking open for me though. I was like, what the hell's going on here? I don't know, but maybe it glitched out on me. So I just had to. I don't know. I thought I had to do something else, but yeah, I just killed him then.
Oh, but you did one of the challenges.
Kill without
Neat.
using the thing.
Yeah.
Heck, you're like the challenge encyclopedia here.
Well, I was trying to get all the challenges.
What did you think of that fight?
I really like that fight. I think it's a good fight, and I like that. I got Luis Serra with me because last time you'd have nobody. It's just you.
Yeah, so are we happy with the change that he's around
Yes.
for that whole chapter with you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's great.
but I think
the
a bit
whole
sad,
development
though.
of him.
Wait, hold on. You were both talking at the same time. Eric, what were you saying?
I'm saying that I like the further development of the character. He's not just this random guy. He was like, "Hey, I'm here, and here's a yoke. Oh no, I got stabbed by a scorpion tail. I am now dying." They developed him more, and I like the kind of fact that Leon doesn't trust him at first, and then he does trust him, and then we get to the sad point.
Plus, the buddy moment
Yeah.
of throughout that whole chapter is fun.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I kind of want.
It's nice to have a companion for a while.
I would like to
Who
have
you're not
him
looking
for
after.
another two chapters, maybe.
Yeah. It's like, I would like you longer. I get why they don't, though. They have to move along, and they couldn't give him to you earlier either.
Why not?
You can't be in with the Verdugo and have a buddy with you. It takes the tension out of that sequence, you know. And
Yeah.
there's just a few sequences like that where you just I understand why he didn't come in earlier, but the minecart sequence, the El Gigantes, it's the perfect opportunity to have Luis back, you know.
Yeah.
Going through the mines, like it's just great.
Well, okay,
and those
maybe-
insects come back, and it's just what a chapter. It's
Maybe
so
not
good.
in the castle. Maybe he needed to be with you earlier in the village.
Yes, fair point. Maybe he should have spent a little bit more time with you in the village earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just would have been
I'll be on
great
with
to
that.
have, or even in the cat. I don't know. They just needed. I think having him kind of pop up in the villa and feck off, and then just pop up again for this one chapter and feck off. There was an opportunity, I think, to really build a connection with the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only in that one chapter is it like, I don't fucking trust you, and then by the end of it, it's like, oh shit, now I trust you. And it's
Yeah.
I think there needed to be that like moment where in this chapter Leon is actually happy to have a companion to get through this, and then of course he dies, which is
Do you know what? As well, it took me off guard because I wasn't expecting to see this character until
yeah
the island, and also, I prefer it to the original.
I do too.
I think this death makes more sense for Krauser to come along and assassinate Luis before he says too much, rather than like again we said this as well with the village section where like Lord Sadler shows up at the church, says a few lines and leaves. Like, why is he there? Then at the castle he shows up, stabs Luis, takes the thing, leaves. Like, why are you here? Like, if you think you're so important, and why is no one with you? And like, how do you get to the island then? You know. So having Krauser do it to me made a fuckload of sense.
Yeah.
And then having instantly then the knife fight
No,
here
that I thought was very unexpected. I
took me completely off guard.
I fucking love that knife fight.
it's
That
cool.
was some fucking good knife fight.
Yeah.
But I was not prepared for that, like, at all.
That's why I think it works though.
No. I wasn't prepared for. I haven't used
I
the
didn't
knife.
have a knife. Well, this is the thing, right? This is what we were saying. We were like, man, you should probably do up the fucking knife. You know?
I know, like, so I had to learn how to block and deflect in that fight sequence because I never used the knife up to that point.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
Which is where apparently
that
that's
was
where
intense, man.
the developer said that's where the knife parry ability comes from, is that they wanted to do away with the quick time knife fight.
Yeah.
So they're like, right, you have to do it in real time, and they're like, but if you're going to do that in real time, you need the function of blocking.
Yeah.
So then they worked that boss fight alone, informed like a huge part of the entire game. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Which is why,
yeah.
like we were saying earlier, that's why you don't have the grapple hook.
Yeah. I actually, because the quick time event one, this is one of those things where it's like, this is really, really cool, and it's a really cool take on the OG, but I don't necessarily prefer one or the other. I enjoy both of them. I think that cutscene and the quick time events, as overdone as quick time events can be, I think that's a really good implementation of that.
Yeah. Plus, they weren't overdone then.
No, they
That's the
weren't.
thing.
They weren't.
Yeah.
And then this, like, to take a quick time event and turn it into an actual boss fight, it was so exhilarating.
So cool. But what an end to Chapter 11, which has just been a fucking ride.
Yeah.
You get this Metal Gear Solid boss fight. You know, it feels like Snake Eater kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lighting is fucking class in that sequence.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a great
Lighting is so good.
Yeah.
kind of spectacle, like a showcase
Yeah.
of the engine.
But like, yeah, I was fucking so satisfied. Yeah, it did feel like I was fucking Snake, you know, in Snake Eater or something. Like, it was so satisfying. Blocking all of his attacks, evading his attacks, and slicing them up. It was so good.
Yeah.
So satisfying.
Well, then after that, you got one more chapter of the castle, right? Which is basically just finish off what you got to do and then go do the final boss fight, right? But I suppose one part of it is going up the tower,
Yes.
Yeah.
with the elevator and all that stuff. And then there is the remake's take on the Salazar statue, which everyone was kind of wondering, like, will they do the big statue? How disappointed are you guys that it doesn't actually chase you?
Not at all. I even think
Really?
I even find the flaming head a little bit too far.
Yeah, I love how it has the hat on it and everything though. Like it's like this is what he wants to look like clean, respectable royalty, and it's not him at all. But yeah, the flaming mouth, that was fucking funny. Eric, what did you think of the big statue?
I actually did not take much notice of that. There's a flaming head, and I was like, "That's grand, flaming head. Fair enough. Let's move on." Big giant ball.
You knew it was the statue though, right?
I knew it was a statue of Salazar, but I really did not pay attention to it.
Sure. I remember me and Eric had a conversation before, and I loved it. And it was because I was like, oh, they probably won't do the big moving statue thing, right? And Eric was like, what if they did it like almost like Scarecrow in Arkham Asylum, where it is this big fucking statue, but its eyes are looking in through the window and shit and looking for you, as opposed to just chasing you. And you end up like if they could pull it off, as wacky as it is, where you're actually afraid of the statue. It's like it would be really impressive to do that. Like, what? That would be such a fucking cool. It'd be one of those talking points afterwards.
Yeah,
wow, they actually made the statue cool.
You know what? Yeah, I think,
doesn't that sound cool? Like I would love to play that.
You'd be in like the hallways of the castle, but it'd be like barely lit at all. There'd be only the moonlight shine through the windows, and then just a.
I think that could have been that could be more interesting.
Yes,
way
I agree.
of separating Leon from Ashley in the castle sequence is to have that Leon actually runs away due to fear, and due to that moment, Ashley now that Ashley is left alone, that's when she gets captured, and that would be more interesting than the battlements section too. I think.
Sure. Yeah. I did think like it's kind of like having the statue here is like a nice little nod, but actually part of me is like, you know what, go for it, you know, go big or go home, you know, like do something.
I'm happy enough
wild with it.
I'm happy enough with the implementation.
It's funny that it's here, and then of course we get the Salazar boss fight. Yeah. Totally different.
Really different.
Much better improvement for sure.
Wow.
However,
okay, interesting. Yeah.
The setup again is not, I don't think.
Right. He just shoots the fuck out of him off the fucking thing, and you're lacking that big scary you're lacking that sense of presentation of I have just lured you to your death, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, but it's also the second Verdugo,
Yeah. Just
it's like where is it, and he
So that's one of the theories I can share. I have a feeling separate ways.
Yeah, probably.
You're fighting that second Verdugo. That's my theory.
But it just seems a bit strange that it's like, where is it? It's completely omitted. There's like, I just think that's a bit odd. But I do think the design of this Salazar is, he is scarier, and the way it fights is certainly scarier than. I always thought the other one was a little bit like Arkham Asylum Poison Ivy.
Well, you couldn't have at the time, Adam.
No.
Unless
I know that.
I just mean time traveler.
I just mean.
Yeah, well,
it's that type
but
of
I
fight.
know what you mean.
Poison Ivy did look very much like
when
a
I
Resident Evil
fought
boss
the
fight.
Arkham Asylum Poison Ivy, I was like, "This is the Salazar boss fight."
Yes.
So I know exactly what
it's
you mean.
that type of stage. There you are in front of me. I just need to shoot you.
I get for this remake why they made a boss that can move around a lot more, because otherwise you'd be moving side to side.
Oh yeah, no, it's
so
a much bigger remake.
Changed it. Eric, what do you think of this boss fight? Go
Now,
on.
I want the giant long penis head coming out of the wall with Salazar on top and the tentacles working this way. I think they're two very different styles of boss fight, because this is like he's a giant flower, but at the same time he almost reminded me of Venom. Like Venom without a host. Just constantly latching onto things, and that's all he's doing, which I thought was very cool.
Made him parasitic.
This was the hardest boss fight, I think, up to this point, though.
From what I've heard, it is.
Because I've
heard people say this is the hardest fight.
He can kill you in one go.
Yeah, he did that to me many times.
I did not know that until recently, and he did that to me twice in a row.
Yeah,
it's interesting though that you enjoyed the fight then, and that didn't like frustrate you.
Well,
or did it?
It could have done. It's a little unfortunate. I didn't get to see enough of that boss fight and get to experience enough of that boss fight. I was kind of just trying to get past the castle at that point.
I understand.
And I think on my second playthrough, whenever I get to that, I'd like to try and play with that arena a little bit more and get to see more of the creature. So the 2 times I tried to defeat him, I was just kind of going in with my regular equipment, and as I was running around, he just came around and grabbed me by its mouth and throws you up in the air and swallows you whole. And that happened to me twice in both runs. So I was like, yeah, okay. So I bought the rocket launcher. I see. I just shot him and got rid of him. So
I have used the rocket launcher, but at this point in the game I have not used the rocket launcher, but I did use the rocket launcher in the game.
I used it in the game. I did not use it on this boss.
No.
But I was also playing on the easier difficulty. So let me just say, Salazar was not too difficult on that difficulty.
I defeated him in one go, but I kept my distance from him. And just kind of started laying into him, so...
I miss, obviously, the monsters, at least after this would be one less to worry about.
Yeah.
I really do miss that line, and I wouldn't have cared where to put it. It wouldn't have bothered me if it wasn't towards Salazar, even. It would have been fine somewhere else. But I don't think they set up this fight particularly well. I prefer, on a personal level, the design of the creature from the original.
Oh.
I always just thought it was fucked up and kind of a Final Fantasy-esque boss or something.
Yeah.
It's a way more interesting fight to actually play through. But I do like the design from the original. I thought it was something so fucked up about this thing coming out of the wall. But yeah, there's not, like, what could you do with that in this? It's stuck there, you know? So I totally get why they made it a more mobile and totally changed up that boss fight. But he himself looks similar. Like, his part where he comes up out of it, he looks very like he did as an attachment on the OG, you know? Just before we finish up then, there's one more character. They didn't really appear in the village. I mean, they do, but they don't really. But they definitely appeared throughout the castle. Like, they would have shown up earlier. We didn't talk about them. But here, then, at the very end of this, they give you a boat ride to the island. Ada Wong.
Yeah, she does.
Lady in Red.
I prefer it in her boat encounters with Leon. I prefer in the castle. In the original.
In the original?
The original. Yeah, there's the first time we meet her, of course, is I think with I think it's the first time you hear her actually speak, isn't it? It was with Lewis, Sarah before the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I laughed out loud because I knew exactly who it was. The first thing that comes into shot are these high-heeled boots.
Right.
And I'm like, and you see, they kind of made the rest of her look like, somewhat tactical, I guess. That it's like this. Of course, you're not going to be running around here in a bloody red dress, right? That makes no sense. So let's modernize it.
Try to modernize it, yeah.
But then I'm like, why the fuck is she in high heels? This makes no sense. So there's that aspect of it. I'm like, I like her design, but that aspect, I'm just like, give her fucking boots or something. And some of her dialogue, the way it's delivered, I like it, but it almost feels like it's just been read off the page a little bit.
Yeah, so I've heard a lot of people complain about the voice actor here. And some people have actually gone on to attack the voice actor.
What?
Yeah, and you know, that's not okay, guys. No. Don't do that. That's not nice, right? But on a personal level, I prefer the voice actor who voiced Ada in Resident Evil 2.
Oh, is it different?
Or at least, definitely, yeah. Or at least I preferred that performance. I loved Ada in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And here there's an element of. Now, we can't talk about the island section yet, so I can't say. But so far, up to the castle, from a remake standpoint, I get the sense that Ada is only here as a character because she's in the original. I don't feel like at this point they're doing anything to flesh her character out a little bit more or make her involvement a little bit more interesting. She looks great, you know, and
definitely
it's always cool
her
seeing
for
Ada.
separate ways.
I love Ada. Yeah, it does feel that way. But we can't talk about the island yet. So, Adam, going into the island, how are you feeling?
Well, I've touched on a little bit of it already, and
okay,
I think from basically when Ashley gets captured in the castle, from there onwards, this has just been such a fun game. I've been able to really enjoy it. I think up from the beginning of the castle up to that point, I felt that it felt a little bit old, really dated, and I was getting really frustrated with a lot of the gameplay for the first part of the castle. Basically, when Ashley gets captured onwards, I think it's just so much fun.
So you're right back on track.
Right back on track.
Excellent. Well, guys, we want to hear your thoughts. I suppose just to end this off, I just want to ask 2 questions. Eric's going to love this. One is, and maybe we've already covered this, but we did cover it in the village, you see. What was your personal highlight of the castle? It might be hard to pick just one moment. And then 2, do you prefer the castle this time around, or do you prefer the original based on the various changes and stuff? Like, there's things where it's like, I prefer that in the original, but I maybe prefer this in the remake. But overall, which do you think you prefer? Adam, come to you first. Your highlight from this one, and then which castle do you prefer, do you think?
I think the highlight is the cart sequence with Luisera. I don't know which I prefer.
It's a tough one.
Really. This is certainly more streamlined, but a huge chunk of it I found was really, really frustrating. So I can't really say which one I prefer. I actually don't know.
Okay. And I will accept that. Okay. Eric, your personal highlight?
Blocking every single one of Krauser's attacks. That knife fight was just awesome. I loved that fight.
Love it.
So that was very satisfying. Because that was a challenge. So I completed that without even realizing. It was awesome.
Nice.
And then I think I prefer this one because it's streamlined. And because I think the other one in the original really just overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like, well, it's 2 acts long because the game is like 5 acts.
Yeah.
So you have Act 3 and you have Act 4, each one with 3 chapters in each act, and you're just like, you're going to some fucking silly ass places. In the original, like, so so I think I prefer this one because it feels more like, this is the size of a castle. I have a very big castle, like.
Yeah, so my personal highlight was, as we said, like the entirety of Chapter 11, but if I really needed to hone in on a point, I think the minecart sequence was just a Disney ride that I loved it. But yeah, obviously I loved the Krauser fight, the El Gigante fight. That whole chapter was just amazing. And then I do prefer the remake castle for basically all the reasons Eric said. In saying that, I do think there's things from the original that are done better than moments from but in terms of taking the overall sections, I mean, there's way more times where Ashley's back with you and away from you and back with you and away from you and back with you in the original, and that's fucking annoying. So I think they've definitely streamlined it a bit more here, and I think it works. But we'd love to hear from you guys. So if you guys watch this YouTube, make sure you jump down in the comments, share your personal highlights from the castle section. Did I say castle? From the castle section of Resident Evil 4 Remake. And also, do you prefer the remake castle, or do you prefer the OG? Let us know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this one, it gives a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content, including when we talk about the island and our final thoughts on Resident Evil 4 Remake. And to those of you listening on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on Resident Evil 4 The Castle. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.